Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about some of Gary Neville's comments that he made in regards to Liverpool on his show, The Overlap, that it came out yesterday. We're going to be talking about the comments that Gary Neville made in regards to Liverpool and the future that could be held for Liverpool, maybe when Jurgen Klopp leaves the club in a few years' time. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always would be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back into these comments. So basically, if you haven't watched it already, The Overlap came out yesterday on the YouTube channel. The Overlap, it is, of course, if you don't know what it is already, it's a panel that consists of Jamie Carragher, Roy Keane, and of course the man himself, Gary Neville. And they invite a lot of famous YouTube football fans to come along and ask them questions, some sort of like football panel show interaction kind of thing. They just talk about a load of key topics within the world of football right now and obviously going forward. And of course this one was no different. I think they've made about 3 in total. And of course this was the third one that came out, and they were talking about the Premier League running. It covered a lot of topics that were going to be going on right now in the world of football and of course going forward. So they basically discussed a variety of topics, like looking at the Premier League prepares for its run-in, so the end of the season, the current situations regarding Manchester United and Chelsea in terms of their ownership and their direction going forward. They talked about the top 4 race, so Arsenal and Tottenham were involved in that, Antonio Conte with Tottenham as well. The relegation battle, Everton and Leeds were heavily talked about, as well as being possible unlikely ones to go down, or ones that you didn't really see as being going down into the Championship for next season. Unlikely ones, but possible. And of course they talked about the title race, of course. But when they were talking about the title race, when they were talking about Chelsea's current situation, an intriguing point came up regarding Liverpool, and it was where Neville basically stated that he believed that Klopp was doing absolute wonders with Liverpool. He was really punching above their weight given what he has at his disposal. And he's done such incredible work that when he does go, that the fans will turn on FSG, if they haven't already, demanding that they of course spend more money in order for them to compete, because he believes that once Jurgen Klopp goes and the money is not going to be spent as wisely, the playing field will sort of level itself out a little bit, and Liverpool will drop from being title contenders to battling for the race to finish in the top 4. Neville basically stated this. He stated that he believes that when Jurgen Klopp goes, Liverpool are going to be fighting it out for the top 4. They could drop to 4th or 5th. This was obviously, like I say, whilst he was talking about Chelsea's current situation with their former owner, Roman Abramovich, obviously being sanctioned. He was also talking about the American owners of the Glazers at Manchester United, touching upon the Saudi Arabians at Newcastle, talking about Manchester City's owners as well. And they were going through the list of owners because of what obviously has transpired in the past few months in regards to the Roman Abramovich situation, the Newcastle takeover, and so on and so forth. But he basically said that Jurgen Klopp was punching way above his weight with what he's doing at Liverpool, and that if he goes, then Liverpool may not be able to find a manager like him or as good as him, and it could be a bit of a self-implosion job for Liverpool, and that they will eventually have a bit of a reality check and drop down the table. And therefore that will lead to fans being in uproar, as he believes that Liverpool fans are not in as much uproar as maybe other clubs are in regards to their owners right now. But that could be about to change in the coming years when, of course, Klopp does eventually leave. Neville was quoted as saying that Liverpool fans don't see it now because of where they are, but once Klopp leaves and the money they're spending means they finish 4th or 5th, which is where they should be, Liverpool fans won't be happy with their owners. That's just one of the few quotes that was said during the whole video. I would recommend checking it out. It was a very intriguing and interesting piece of content for me particularly. I found it very intriguing. It was very interesting to see the points of all three of the different pundits, and of course the fans as well. Some of them I like and respect, talking about various different points upon various different matters. But like I say, this one stuck out to me as well because obviously massive Liverpool fan, and I just wanted to address it because it is interesting to me. Basically, he's heaping huge amounts of praise on Jurgen Klopp for getting Liverpool to play above and beyond the level that he believes they would be, they should be at. When in regards to talking about Jurgen Klopp as being a world-class manager, he thinks that he's getting Liverpool above and beyond their kind of station where they should be on paper, whilst also saying that once he leaves, unless they replace Klopp with a manager who is of similar or somehow even better ability than him, then Liverpool will falter and fail again and go back to sort of top four mediocrity sort of level. Now, personally for me, I think there's always going to be an element of truth. And whatever Gary Neville was going to say regarding this matter, there was always going to be some sort of element of maybe truth to it. It was always going to be an opinion that we shouldn't completely disregard because, let's face it, it's an opinion, he's entitled to it, and it's an opinion that is obviously a prediction, and everyone's entitled to their predictions as well because it's not completely out of the realms of possibility for him to be completely right or wrong. For me, like I say, there's an element of truth to it because there is a bit of me that is scared of who Liverpool decide to replace Klopp with in the future. Now, his current contract runs out in 2024, so he's got a couple of years left, but he has been throwing around the sort of idea that maybe he is interested in maybe staying on beyond that point should obviously things continue to go well. I trust the club right now to make the right decision in getting the business done and to obviously find a suitable successor to Klopp, whoever that may be. I trust the club. But of course, there's always going to be that element of doubt that says, maybe they could make the wrong decision. We saw it happen with Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson going into David Moyes. We've seen it time and time again with other clubs that have gone from having a relatively successful manager or a really big successful manager or someone that's just done really well with the job at hand to then going to a manager who hasn't quite reached those expectations or even exceeded the expectations or the bar that's been set before him. I would argue that unless there is some sort of kamikaze style self-implosion by Liverpool, it won't happen. I think that what Neville is basically alluding to here is that there is going to be some sort of self-destruction at Liverpool in regards to who they appoint as their next manager after Jurgen Klopp. I think there's also a bit of hope in Gary Neville's words and his thoughts for obvious reasons, with him being obviously tied with Manchester United, a rival of Liverpool. So I think you also have to take that into consideration. I think he's mainly speaking from a neutral point of view, but of course, he's a former Man United player. He's obviously tied heavily with Manchester United. We know that just in his words, sometimes there is a little bit of bias in his words, I believe anyway. I think the club's been built the right way, or rebuilt the right way for a number of years now under Klopp. I think that obviously it has been built in a way that a lot of top managers from around the world right now would look at Liverpool as an intriguing and an exciting prospect to manage in the future. I trust the club right now to make the decision on its successor, like I say, but there's always going to be that element of doubt in my mind. I think that with the history that Liverpool have, with the way Liverpool have done business in recent years, I think that with the squad that Klopp will obviously leave behind in the future, it is, in my opinion, too tempting for no manager to look at, with maybe one or two exceptions of maybe, you know, being a rival manager, being a United manager, whatever, not looking into and at least being tempted by the prospect of managing such a huge club. as long as the manager that comes in, I believe, keeps the structure in place whilst also showing some forward thinking and some progression as to obviously the way that football continues to evolve and move forward, the money side won't matter. It's just about finding the right replacement and obviously building the right team around that manager and the right team on the pitch. Because, like I say, you don't need massive amounts of money to build that team. You just need the right amount of money in the right places and the right areas to show progression, to show forward thinking, both in terms of squad on the pitch and in terms of off the pitch, when in regards to maybe upgrading training facilities, maybe continuing to show forward progression and look towards more of the youth, that kind of thing. It's the kind of stuff that obviously would show forward thinking and show that you are heading in the right direction going forward. Just needs to be spent in the right places. We've seen time and time again big money be thrown around at other clubs. You look at Manchester United as a prime example of that. Whether it's been money that's been thrown around in terms of just getting the best business deals, or thrown around in terms of making some mediocre to underwhelming transfers, it has happened there. But you just need to spend it well. Look at Liverpool squad. Liverpool squad is a perfect example of this. It's the perfect example of being spent in the right areas, upgrading the training facilities, upgrading Anfield, and of course huge bargains on the pitch, creating what is an incredible squad right now that is in contention to possibly win multiple honours this season, with the quadruple obviously being at the pinnacle. But the Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup are all still available to this squad. You look at Alisson in goal, incredible. He basically took Liverpool from being contenders to champions and is one of the best Premier League goalkeepers the Premier League's ever seen. Is currently the best in my opinion. Trent Alexander-Arnold rose through the academy, turned out to be the best right back in the Premier League right now. Virgil van Dijk was again another piece to the puzzle of turning contenders to champions. Joel Matip, one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League and in world football right now, arrived on a free transfer years ago. Andy Robertson, £8 million from Hull, or the equivalent to one Kevin Stewart going the other way. Fabinho, one of the best or the best defensive midfielders in Europe. Henderson, a fantastic captain, great footballer. Thiago, again, he may not do anything that lights up a game or anything, but he makes it simple. He just does everything so simple, and it's amazing to watch. You watch him, he may not score every game, he may not assist every game, but he basically sits in that midfield and does a solid job that sometimes gets a little bit overlooked. Sadio Mane may not be the same Sadio Mane as previous years, but he's still one of the best left wingers. He's an AFCON winner. He's just sent Senegal to the World Cup, and he's actually got a pretty decent goals and assist ratio this season when in comparison to others in his position. And not only that, but as well as playing alongside Salah and Jota, who have also had incredible seasons themselves. It's pretty good goals return to say that he's not the main guy. Silently, you could argue, maybe a future Ballon d'Or contender. Roberto Firmino, again, may not be the same Firmino as in previous years gone by, but still pops up big in big games for Liverpool in terms of what he adds to the team. And of course, he pops up with some big goals as well. Diogo Jota, again, overshadowed because he arrived a day after what Thiago did. And everyone was talking about Thiago, but he's been incredible to say that he arrived for 40 odd million. And of course has popped up with some massive goals himself this season and is the second top goal scorer in the Premier League. Absolutely incredible stuff. Luis Diaz arrived in January, hit the ground running. For a guy that arrived from the Portuguese league, that is incredible, because everyone always talks about there's a bleeding in process and there's this time of adaptation, and he's got to adapt to the league and so on and so forth. He's just gone, I don't care, this is football, I'm just running with the ball and nothing's going to stop me. And he's been an absolutely incredible and exciting watch since his arrival in the Premier League. And of course, Mohamed Salah, What can you say about Mohamed Salah that hasn't already been said this season? He is simply the best in the world right now, best footballer on the planet. Yes, of course, there will be talk about what happened with Egypt earlier this week, but at Premier League level, he is simply incredible. And all of those players, you know, Van Dijk arrived for 75 million, Alisson arrived for 60 million, Fabinho arrived for 50 million. All of those players are around about 40 million or less. You don't need to spend massive money. You don't need to spend massive money. And I get that it's a massive shout from Neville. And like I say, I think there's a bit more hope to his words than actually what he genuinely believes. I understand and I accept his opinion. But as Liverpool fans, we have to realise that if Klopp's taught us anything, it's that spending huge money doesn't always mean getting the best results. It's about getting the right scouting in place, getting the right team together off the pitch that all have their minds set on getting together and making the best for the club. And of course, to also identify the areas that we need to improve, looking at ways to spend money on ways that we can improve off and on the pitch, and just getting the right team as a whole on and off the pitch together to be a well-oiled machine and all work towards the same common goal of making Liverpool Football Club the best in the world. That is simply it. That is simply it. But of course, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What did you make of Gary Neville's comments in regards to Liverpool Football Club post Jurgen Klopp, if or when he does go? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. Do check out the video as well if you haven't already, because it actually was very intriguing in certain parts and very interesting to see the opinions of all three of the former players on various topics. So do give that a watch. Otherwise, hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.